trip over myself.
Well, good.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Ward. I'm the town clerk, and I'll be the moderator for this portion of tonight's meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us this evening for the Lisbon Town Council's 17th Annual Organizational Meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's first agenda item is the inauguration of elected officials. May we have some outgoing remarks?
Yeah, I'd like to say something if I could. My name's Jason Smith, now former council member. I just would like to thank the town of Lisbon for giving me this opportunity to have served you. It was truly an honor to be a part of all the hard work that these councilmen and women do. I'd like to thank my wife and my family for supporting me and understanding the countless missed bedtimes and family activities, knowing it was all for the greater good for the town. I'm excited to be able to settle down and raise my children in the town that you all work so hard for. Thank you again for all the council members for doing all the hard work you do. It doesn't go unnoticed. Just thanks again, guys, and you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm done now, so.
I think I'm done. Off the hook.
Call me when you need me.
Off the hook.
Thank you, Councilor Smith.
Thank you.
Next, we have the reading of the election results. 3 councilors for 3-year terms were elected. Donald R. Fellows with 2,234 votes. Mark C. Lunt with 2,419 votes. Jo Jean Keller with 2,364 votes. 1 councilor for a 1-year term was elected. Christine C. Kane with 3,126 votes. We also elected 2 school committee members for 3-year terms. Kelly A. Rogers with 1,860 votes, and Laura A. Craig with 2,191 votes. We also re-elected a water commissioner for a 3-year term, Arthur G. McLean with 3,244 votes. At this time, may I have the following people join me at the lectern to be sworn in. Donald Fellows, Mark Lunt, Jo Jean Keller, and Christine Kane.
Did you want to hear?
Thank you. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
The Constitution
and will obey the laws
and will obey the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Maine,
and of the state of Maine,
that I will,
in all respects,
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the town of Lisbon,
of the town of Lisbon,
and will faithfully
discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of my office
of town councilor.
of town councilor.
Congratulations. Please step to the table. And we'll have each councilor sign their oath for us.
You're okay. Thanks.
Signs the famous Lisa camera phone.
signs the papers.
Councilor Keller, if you'll take your place at the table, right here.
Be careful, you sometimes can be a little tricky, okay?
Don't roll down the ramp. Don't push back too hard. join me at the lectern to be sworn in. Kelly Rogers and Laura Craig. Ms. Rogers is unable to be here, so she'll do her oath at the town clerk's office. All right. Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
and will obey the laws
and will obey the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Maine,
and of the state of Maine,
that I will,
that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the town of Lisbon,
of the town of Lisbon,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of school committee member.
of a school committee member.
Congratulations. And at this time, may I have Arthur McLean join me at the lectern. Thank you.
I feel kind of lonely up here by myself.
Please repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
and will obey the laws
and obey the laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Maine,
and the state of Maine,
that I will,
that I will,
in all respects,
in all respects,
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the town of Lisbon,
of the town of Lisbon,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Water Commissioner.
of Water Commissioner.
Congratulations. At this time, we'll move to the next order of business. Order 2022-248, the election of council chair.
I'd like to nominate Council Morris, council chair.
I'll second it.
Are there any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Fern LaRochelle.
Do we have a second?
A second.
I would prefer not to be, actually, as much as I am very honored. I would prefer to actually not be chair this year if there's other.
Are you declining?
I'm declining, yes. I do appreciate that, though. Thank you.
And are there any other nominations? You'll find blank ballots on the table in front of you. Please cast your vote for one nominee by writing that name on your ballot. I'll collect them when you're done. I'll collect them in this box. This box has gone to every town meeting and every council annual organizational meeting since 1902. And it was given to the town.
Year after I was born. 1902. I look good, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
I know it seems like just a formality, but we have to read the votes.
And we got a cool box, too, so.
Is it cutting out? Okay. It's a good thing I have a big voice. All right, we have Harry Moore. Harry Moore. Harry Moore, that's 3. Harry Moore, 4. Harry Moore, 5. Harry Moore, 6. And Harry Moore, 7. We have a unanimous vote. for Harry Moore.
The fifth person voted off Survivor is.
Congratulations.
Councillor Moore, you've been elected chair. The next order of business is Order 2022-249, the election of council vice chair. The floor is open.
I would nominate Councillor Ray.
I second.
Do we have any other nominations? Please cast your vote by writing a name on a ballot. I'll collect them when you're done.
I'll get the money.
And count the votes. Councillor Robichaud, Ray Robichaud, 3 for Ray Robichaud, Ray Robichaud 4, Ray Robichaud 5, Ray Robichaud 6, and Ray Robichaud 7. We have a unanimous choice for
Congratulations.
vice chair. Thank you, Councillor Robichaud.
You're all
So
gonna get my right number.
congratulations are in order as we end 2022 and head into the new year. This concludes the inaugural portion of our meeting. A motion for a short recess before we continue our regular meeting is in order so that friends, family, and guests may leave if they wish. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Who was the second, Ray? All in favor? Motion passed, 7-0. We stand recessed for 5 minutes.
I know. He's like 10 minutes. He's a big.
Yeah, I do like the touchscreen because you can zoom it in and out.
We're live.
Just use your pinch to zoom there.
Mr. Chair, would you like to call this meeting to
Yes,
order?
I'll call this meeting to order.
Thank you. For roll call, Councillor Kane?
Here.
Councillor Fellows?
Here.
Councillor Keller?
Here.
Councillor Larochelle?
Here.
Councillor Lunt?
Here.
Councillor Moore?
Here.
Councillor Robichaud?
Yeah.
Okay.
The next item is good news and recognition.
Ross?
Mayor, thank you.
Sure.
Good evening. Welcome, Councillor Keller. Ross Cunningham, Economic Community Development Director. I just want to take a couple quick seconds. I wanted to thank you for your authorization of additional holiday decorations. They went up on the village end of town last week. They just look beautiful. We did garland and candy canes on all the light poles. Hats off to Mark Stevens of the Rec Department. They decorated Graziano Square very nicely and had a wonderful tree lighting there on Sunday night. Big turnout, good event for them. Thank you. And we're putting up the decorations for the Falls Thursday. The lights poles are all up and installed, and that should be fully decorated by Thursday afternoon in time for Saturday's Very Merry Main Street. We will be doing a ribbon cutting at the beginning of Very Merry Main Street at 3 p.m. Right down sort of in the middle of Main Street. We'll just have a sort of a quick ceremony opening the bottom half of Main Street, so you're all welcome to join us. We'd love to have you. And additionally, I'd like to let you know that we were approved for the $50,000 resiliency grant to pull up the tar and lay loam and grass seed at the Warrumble waterfront. So that's great news. We were hoping to execute that this fall, but I think it's a little late to plant loam and seed now, so we will be filling out the DEP paperwork and getting that ball rolling as soon as the thaw starts to come in the spring. Any questions on any of that?
No, very good.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else from council?
Mr. Chair, I have an item.
Yes.
Our beautiful wreath here, which hangs here for tonight and will hang on the building afterwards, was made by Karen Dorisco. She made it for us today over at Beaver Park. And it's absolutely one of the most gorgeous wreaths I've ever seen.
That's very nice.
Smells divine.
It does smell divine. Thank you.
I did attend the Christmas lighting at Graziano Square, and it was really well done, real well done. Mark Stevens did a great job, him and his staff. They had hot cocoa and cookies, and there was a lot of people there. It was really, really nice, real nice. Anybody in the, is this for just the council or audience as well?
Audience, too, if you
Anybody
like.
in the audience wants to say anything? Mr. Campbell? Oh. Mr. Campbell?
I don't know if it's on the.
Can you come up? Can you come up to the lectern, Marty?
He's talking about decorating the town, and that's great. But what is going on up in Lisbon with the lights up there? First, we've got lights that don't work, and then we got lights that are strobe lights now. We had a different globe, and now we're back to the square globe. What's going on with the town of Lisbon?
Marty, this is for good news and recognition, not for
Well,
bad news. I'm sorry.
There's a different section of the agenda for your question. so.
That was great.
I thought I'd bring it up. I've had people ask, and what is the?
Yeah,
Can anybody tell me?
as far as I know, it's an issue with the wiring, and CMP is working out with the assistant town manager right now,
It'd
the
be nice
interim
to-
assistant town
It'd be
manager.
nice to see them all working the way they're
Yeah,
supposed
we
to.
want them to work too.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Working on it. It's-
I
And not ours.
last week when
Some
we were
that are full of
decorating
milk.
up there, the new fixtures were up, but they had no insides to them. CMP had to come back and put those in them, and I think when they did, they still have to be fine-tuned because they're all LEDs, and I think they're off frequency or something, and that's why they're blinking. But they know it needs to be worked on still. It'd be nice. You're right.
It
It'd be
seems like,
nice if it got fixed right.
seems like if somebody knew what they was doing, they should be able to get there, fix it, and
Yeah.
get it taken care of. You know, if the town needs somebody to work on it, I'll get my son-in-law up there, and I bet he could take care of it for you.
We'll address it, Marty.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mr. Ledner?
Yes. First off, I wanted to invite you to, well, I guess Ross already has, invite you Saturday to Main Street. If you came to a very, very merry Main Street last year, you remember everything that was at the MTM. This year, we're trying to get back to the traditional setup. We have all kinds of great things happening on Main Street, up and down from one end to the other. 2 to 4, we have a petting zoo for the kids at Sippy Cup. From 2 to 4, we also have a scavenger sticker hunt for the kiddos. And then, thankfully, with your permission, we're shutting the road down at 3. And we have all kinds of good stuff happening. So, again, thank you for that. I do have one favor to ask. With your blessing, we would like to use the Warrumbo waterfront for the return of the horse and carriage rides. We're really trying to keep that off of the main roads, and that would be a perfect place to have it without snarling traffic and, all that kind of things.
It's a great place.
Just trying to keep everybody safe. With what we're doing this year, we expect a great turnout, so, it's nice to see things kind of shift back to what it was. And, we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully it's even better, but
Right.
at least we're back to the original intent of what it was. Not that
Very
the MTM wasn't great, but,
Yeah. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Hi.
Hi, Kayla Tierney, Finance Director. I just would like to thank the Town Council, the town employees, school department, Food City, and everybody else involved in the Thanksgiving baskets. We delivered and people picked up 85 baskets this year.
Nice.
So there are 85 families in this town that had a Thanksgiving basket for Thanksgiving and several days thereafter. So I just wanted to say thank you, and that it was a very great program that we love to do each year.
Great.
Nice.
Great. That's good news.
That is great news.
Anybody else? See no one else, I'll close that public hearing. Good news and recognition, sorry.
It's okay.
Next
You're allowed
item.
one mistake.
Next item, first one this year.
Done it.
The next item is public hearings. Once the chair opens the public hearing, those present who wish to speak may approach the lectern to address the council chair. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record. First item, special entertainment permits for the Coombs Mount Fort American Legion Post Number 158 and the Slovak Catholic Association.
I'll open that public hearing. Anybody wish to speak? Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing.
Next is automobile graveyard permit for Campbell's Used Auto Parts and Houston's Auto Salvage.
I'll open that public hearing. Anybody wish to speak on that public hearing? Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing.
Next are the amendments to Chapter 10 Businesses, Articles 11 and 12 Marijuana Establishments, Appendix C Fee Schedule, and Chapter 70 Zoning Ordinance, Section 70-531 Table of Land Uses.
I'll open that public hearing. Anybody wish to speak to that? Seeing none, I'll close that public hearing. Next item.
Next item is audience participation and response for agenda items. At this time, those in the audience who wish to speak may approach the lectern to address items or issues that are on the agenda. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record.
Anybody wish to speak to any of the agenda items? Seeing none. Next.
Next is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine and will be considered for adoption by one motion with no separate discussion unless a councilor requests an item be removed. Any councilor wishing to remove an item may do so now. Seeing none. Order 2022-251 to approve. The municipal accounts payable warrants, $392,904.39. Municipal payroll warrants, $429,117.01. School accounts payable warrants, none. School payroll warrants, none. Minutes of November 15, 2022. Tax collector's waiver of foreclosure and certificate of settlement for 2021 taxes. To approve the policy on the treasurer's disbursement warrants for municipal employee wages, benefits, and state fees. To approve the policy on treasurer's disbursement warrants for school employee wages and benefits. Special entertainment permit and liquor license for the Coombs Mount Fort American Legion Post Number 158 and Slovak Catholic Association. Renewal of automobile graveyard permits for Houston's Auto Salvage and Campbell's Used Auto Parts. To set a public hearing for medical marijuana retail store and manufacturing facility license for Crystal Spring Healing Alternatives, and poll permits for poll number 5 and poll number 6 Webster Road.
Do I have a motion to approve the
motion?
A second?
Second that.
All in favor? Next item.
I'm sorry, that item passed 7-0. Next item, council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2022-252. Sign ordinance moratorium extension for an additional 90 days. This will be a roll call vote.
Do I have a motion to
I'll
honor
make
this
the
for discussion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
It's a roll call.
For discussion. Sorry.
Right, we'll just have discussion and then vote with a roll call vote at
Yep.
the end.
From my understanding, Mr. Chair, my understanding is that the sign ordinance has made significant progress, but it still has to leap through the hoops of the planning board twice and the town council twice, and therefore needs a moratorium extension.
Okay. Makes sense. Any other discussion? We'll proceed with a roll call vote.
All right. Councillor Kane.
Aye.
Councillor Fellows.
Yes.
Aye. Oh. Oh, fellows. Oh, excuse me.
All right, aye, okay.
All right. Councillor Keller.
Aye.
Councillor LaRochelle.
Yes.
Councillor Lunt.
Yes.
Councillor Moore.
Aye.
Councillor Robichaud.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed 7-0.
Next item.
Next item, Order 2022-253, zoning correction for parcel map U20, lot 020. This is a second reading, and it'll require a roll call vote.
I have a motion to open this for discussion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion from the board?
I think we've discussed this a lot.
Yeah.
Seeing none, want to proceed with the roll call vote?
Counselor Robichaud,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt,
Yes.
Counselor Keller,
Yes.
Counselor Kane,
Yes.
Counselor Fellows,
Yes.
Counselor Larichelle,
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Aye.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed, 7-0.
Next item.
Order 2022-254 to adopt the revolving loan fund emergency ordinance. This will also be a roll call vote.
I have a motion to open for discussion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion from the board?
I think Mr. Cunningham may have a few words
Oh, I
to
didn't
help
see
it.
you.
Help.
I don't need to speak. If you guys are good, I'm here to answer your questions, boss.
If you have something to say, go ahead and say.
No, just as we discussed at the last meeting, this revolving loan fund ordinance change is needed to allow us to do a grant program. It will have a long-term effect. We're going to read it again later to make the permanent change, but this emergency ordinance allows us to publish the next item on your agenda, which is the 2022 Main Street grant. So we need to adopt this in emergency format to get that grant out to folks, and then we'll review it for long-term acceptance.
Very good. Thank you. Anything further? Is this a roll call?
It is.
Ready to proceed?
Counselor Fellows,
Yes.
Counselor Larichelle,
Yes.
Counselor Moore,
Aye.
Counselor Robichaud,
Yes.
Counselor Kane,
Yes.
Counselor Keller,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed, 7-0.
Next item.
Order 2022-255 to authorize the Main Street Grant Program.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Oh. Just stay up there, Ross.
That's all right, I'm back. So again, good evening. We talked about this at the last meeting. What you have in front of you is actual application package with guidelines for the Main Street grant businesses. This has been distributed to the businesses with the caveat that, this had to get approved tonight. But this is essentially what we talked about. The design of this is to allow businesses on Main Street who've suffered from the loss of traffic due to the construction program progress, to allow them to try to get some extra funding to get them through the hard months of January through May next year. The way we've outlined it is pretty much exactly as we spoke of last time. The maximum per business is $25,000. The maximum removed from our revolving loan fund to be $150,000. The process is that a business provides us with their profit and loss for this year by month, showing a trend of increasing numbers and then a loss due to construction. If they can give us previous year, that's great. We'll take that as well. And then they need to predict their expenses January through May next year. We bring all the applications in by January 6th. The loan committee sits down with all the applications we've received and figure out the best way to distribute the money among the businesses that have applied. And then we'll bring it to you for final approval at the second January meeting, and with hopes of getting money to business owners by February 1st.
Very good. Thank you.
Questions?
No questions.
Outstanding. Thank you for your time.
I want to mention for the public who may not be aware of this, this is for businesses specifically that were harmed by the construction on Main Street, which was very harmful to a lot of businesses down there.
Is there a issue with Councilor Kane regarding any?
I'll abstain.
Abstain. Okay. Want to proceed with a roll call vote?
It doesn't have to be a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor? Those opposed?
Order pass, 6-0 with 1 abstention.
Next item.
Next item is Order 2022-256, amendments to Section 74-151, the Revolving Loan Fund Ordinance. This is a first reading, and it will be a roll call vote.
Make a motion to open that up for discussion.
Make that motion.
A second.
Any discussion on this item from the board? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Oh,
is
this will be roll call.
Sorry.
That's all right.
That's your second mistake.
Yeah, I know. It's my used up my one for next year, right there.
Ruthless crowd.
Counselor Kane.
Yes.
Counselor Fellows.
Yes.
Counselor Keller.
Yes.
Counselor LaRochelle.
Yes.
Counselor Lunt.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Aye.
Counselor Robichaud.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed 7-0.
Next item.
Next item is Order 2022-257, amendments to Chapter 10 Businesses, Articles 11 and 12, Marijuana Establishments, Appendix C Fee Schedule, and Chapter 70 Zoning Ordinance, Section 70-531, Table of Land Uses. This is a second reading, and a roll call vote will be required.
I'll open that up for discussion. Any motion?
I'll make the motion.
A second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to the roll call vote.
Counselor Moore?
Aye.
Counselor LaRochelle?
Yes.
Counselor Robichaud?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counselor Keller?
Yes.
Counselor Kane?
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed 7-0.
Next item.
Order 2022-258 to authorize the release of $65,815.42 out of the sewer fund committed fund balance and to put it back into the sewer fund's fiscal year 23 budget account.
I'm going to motion to open that up for discussion.
I'll make the, go ahead.
Make a motion.
Second.
Kaylee?
Kayla Tierney, Finance Director. So this release of funds comes with the closing of the $6.5 million sewer project. We closed on that on November 22nd, 2022. And what that meant was that BAN, the bond anticipation note that was taken out in 2017, which is our interim financing, was closed, and USDARD became our permanent financing. And in doing so, with the interim financing, for every time that you draw on that, you accrue interest. And so for the closing, there was $65,815.42 worth of interest that, in order to close, had to be paid. So that did get paid for the closing. And so this is to release it out of the committed fund balance to put back budgetarily that was paid for the closing. And the committed fund balance for the sewer fund has been since 2017 in anticipation of paying for these permanent financing with USDARD. So we just kind of move from one to the other.
Move one to the other. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Sounds like you got it figured out, so I'm all good.
Okay.
Roll call? Or is this just a regular vote?
Just a regular vote.
All in favor?
Order passed 7-0.
Next item.
Next item is other business, starting with the green purchasing policy presentation.
So just a little bit of history. Back in August, we were tasked with developing a green purchasing policy, and we brought it to council in September. Direction from the council was to kind of reevaluate and see what worked for the town of Lisbon, what worked for Maine. We've been doing a lot of research, and Kayla is going to come up and speak a little bit about the work we've done to that point. But no one in Maine has really started doing this work yet. So Kayla is going to come up and talk a little bit about that and how we move forward.
Kaylee?
Hello again, Finance Director. So we had put a small committee together for department heads of Glenn, myself, and Diane Netto, and we were researching green purchasing policy. What does that mean? And what we learned, as Glenn had just said, is that really doesn't have one in Maine right now. So we would be pioneering this. And with that knowledge, we looked at states that do have these types of sustainability ordinances, statutes for their municipalities to follow. We looked at Massachusetts, the city of Boston is a great example of that. And then even on the West Coast, Seattle, Washington, they've implemented these types of sustainability efforts on state level and a localized government level. And what we found is that we asked these types of questions of, well, what does AvCog have going on right now? And Glenn will have some checklist items that we've discovered that we would really, as I said, be having to do a lot of the legwork and identifying what does that mean for the state of Maine and what does that mean for the town of Lisbon. In doing a lot of this research, a terminology has come up, and that term had also come up in some of my GFOA, Government Finance Officer Association conferences on a regional level with the New England states and on a state level with the state of Maine. And that term is ESG. So what is that? E identifies an exposure to climate risk and other environmental factors, and that's our environmental factor. S is our social factors. And G, well, that's us, that's governance. So all three of these key factors impact the sustainability of a community. So why ESG? It highlights governance, social responsibility, employee engagement, environmental impact, sustainability, and best practices. One of the most recent impacts to society is COVID-19. That's another type of a layer here of what does COVID-19 mean? How has that changed the way that we look at life and how quickly something can turn and affect the masses? So with all of that said, there's all these different layers with ESG, identifying environmental risks. How can these be quantified? What material impacts can be identified? Disaster relief programs. On a social level, what information is already out there and available to the general public? What information can be categorized? A lot of this relates to population changes, personal income, unemployment, demographic trends. On a government level, government management, operations and financing, decision making, policy making. A lot of these are already embedded and established in what we do here, what we're doing tonight, every day, as part of an operational level. So the proposal here would be a discussion for a white paper, a guidance of how ESG, how environment, social, and governance impacts everything that we do, and then looking at what Glenn has tonight for these checklist items as it pertains specifically to green purchasing policy.
Yeah, so with that being said, the state of Maine and the Sustainability and Resiliency Program that they started back in June is just kind of laying the foundation for how this work's going to move forward. I think that we're a couple steps ahead if we move on a green purchasing policy, because if we enforce a standard on our vendors and our bidders, we're going to be putting these costs on them when they can go do business with 462 other municipalities. I don't memorize the number yet off the top of my head. So earlier today I sent a list of 72 community actions that we can work on before we get to this point. And back in August, when you passed the resolution to commit to the state's sustainability and resiliency program, and we got that grant, that being said, I think the next step before we actually jump to green purchasing is to establish or recognize an official committee or stakeholder group that can guide staff on this kind of policy and to evaluate the list of the actions we can already begin doing as we lay the foundation, as we work towards green purchasing or whatever other sustainable programs we have. So I spoke informally with the council chair last week, And I'd recommend you name the Conservation Commission as that group officially. We can check this off as another action on the resiliency checklist. This program also emulates a lot of stuff I've seen in New Jersey back in 2010. It's almost carbon copy. So if I can predict how this is going to move forward, they're going to score us with points. As we get those points, it'll open up other grant opportunities, other revenue streams that we can do to implement some of these community actions. But because there's a lot of policy direction, I'd like to work with the Conservation Commission, who can recommend to council which policy actions they want to move forward with, because some of these may not be a good fit for Lisbon, and I don't want staff to unilaterally decide what it is we pursue without some of that guidance. So from that list, I'd just like to recommend we establish a group, and it can be creating a new committee and an existing committee, and start there, go through these community actions, and start incorporating a lot of these sustainability and resiliency programs.
Have we talked to Mark Stevens?
I mentioned it briefly to him today because he's the liaison to Conservation Commission, so he's aware that we were having this discussion tonight.
Okay. I think that could happen through discussions with Mark, probably, right? With establishing this to the
yeah, I had
commission.
mentioned, because like I said, we could create a new committee, or we could work with an existing committee, and I had mentioned to Mark that we would bring this recommendation to you tonight. But other than that, we haven't had much in-depth detail about what this would entail. That's why we're having that discussion tonight.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
One of the things going through the list, I mean, one of the reasons we had just talked about that a little bit is one of the things on the list was actually establishing a composting policy, and which I think composting, which actually the Conservation Committee I think was pretty involved with doing that. So a number of the things that are on the list of actually things that they actually already are doing. So it just seemed like it would kind of go hand in hand versus starting another committee to actually basically kind of do some of the same stuff.
I'd be reluctant to start another committee.
Right.
Yeah.
Could this evolve from you and I writing a green purchasing policy that went to the council and decided you wanted to go, everybody wanted to go to staff for recommendations. So then, am I correct in saying you did that? Then you went to AvCog, and AvCog said, huh?
Basically, yeah, no one in the state of Maine is doing that.
And so here we go.
So to enforce a standard on people who are bidding on our contracts when no one else is really doing it would be like, we're just asking you not to bid on
We're
stuff.
shooting ourselves in the foot.
So what you're saying is that you think that it's going to develop statewide eventually at some point?
Just based on how I've seen these programs develop, and it took a decade in where I came from, so we're moving forward, but just absorbing some of the culture and stuff that I've seen. Home rule is really important, and to have the state kind of come down and mandate something, I don't see that happening. So this is going to have to evolve organically, and we have kind of the groundwork here to start doing that if we want to.
Well, since the Conservation Commission is not an optional commission in the town, it's one of those that we have to have. So I think that that's a logical place to put it.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
All right.
Let's do that.
Okay.
And talk to Mark Stevens. Next item.
Next item is council committee reports. If I may suggest, Mr. Chair, we can reassign committees for liaisons at this meeting, or we can postpone it to the January meeting so that councilors can take a look at the different committees. It's up to you.
Any discussion from the board on what they would like to do? If everybody's ready to go now, we can just do it now.
I was going to say, I'm perfectly happy doing what I want, but I don't want to take away from doing what I'm doing. The planning board, the water commission, all expect me to be there, and if we change, that's okay too. But I'm on board remotely to be meeting with them. So.
Mr. Chair, I would actually like to, if possible, take over the Parks and Recreation and allow someone else to actually take over school, and maybe more up their alley.
Okay. So you want to assign Councilor Larissel to Parks and Recreation, which leaves an opening in the school Committee.
Is there an easy way to see when all these committees meet?
Len, any
Looking at the
input on when school committees meet? I didn't know if you might know.
Yeah, second and fourth. Yep.
Second and fourth Tuesday. Probably 6-ish,
Yes, 6 till
whenever.
whatever.
Take your time. Lisbon Development Committee, is that still a thing?
It is?
Yes.
Is,
Ouch.
I mean, as far as us on the board, is anybody?
I mean, I could take that. I don't know if Joe Jean may want to do the library, and it would be
Yeah,
appropriate.
oh,
I'll give you my library slot if you'd like to take that, Joe Jean, since I know you have experience there.
That would be wonderful.
I think that'd be
Thank
great
you.
to have some variety there. I've been doing it for years. I'd hand it over to you. Trust you with that.
So you're going to do Lisbon Development?
I'll do the LDC if you want to take over the library governing board.
And I'll do library.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
So the only glitch to that looks like we have 3 members of the council who are members of the development committee. So to add a 4th person would put a
Yeah, you're right.
quorum
Yes, yeah.
at meetings.
So you can't do that.
Unless somebody else wants to resign off it. I don't know. Who else is on member?
Who's on it besides?
You,
I'm on it.
you, who else is on it besides you?
Who's the other one?
Or the 3?
Myself, yeah.
You want to be on it?
Joe Jean, will you be resigning from the development committee so that you can be on, so you can focus on the council, or are you going to keep that position?
Am I able to keep it?
Well,
Yes, you are.
we have a problem with I can't do it if there's 3 other counselors on it at the same time.
So-
So one of you 3 would have to be the representative. If you want to be the LDC representative, then you can do that too.
Okay.
Sure there anyway.
Per our discussion, I can resign from that. Do I need to send you?
Just send me a quick email.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we'll put Counselor Lunt as the Lisbon Development Committee liaison, and we'll put Counselor Keller as the Library Governing Board liaison. We still have the County Budget Committee, Finance Committee, and Planning Board. Well, no, that's Counselor Fellows.
And school.
And the school, yes.
Do all of the committees meet bi-weekly, or are any of them monthly?
And I think in the past, if I may, as chair, that I don't think you're required to be at every meeting. I think it's more of a representation. So, I mean, whether you just make one meeting a month or every other month.
Okay.
the
Yeah,
big
because
thing
I'm
is-
looking at, because my work ties me up Wednesday through Saturday evenings, so I'm limited to something that's Monday or Tuesday.
I believe the finance
But-
committee meets on Monday, doesn't it?
Okay, so that's an option, or, the school is Tuesday if I only had to do, one of the 2 meetings each month.
We could split it up. You do one, I'll do one. Do half of it.
I'd be open to that.
Perfect. Split for the school committee.
Okay. And we have, who did we have for the Conservation Commission?
Me.
Okay. And so now I have County Budget Committee and Finance Committee.
That's me and Mark, the budget,
Okay.
county budget.
Okay.
And I'm on the finance committee.
Still want to do that?
I was trying to get out of it last year. Why don't you take it
I'll
over?
just do
I'll
it
let you
then.
handle that. I saw they were in the news.
But as we
Yesterday.
learned,
I'm on the
that
finance.
doesn't put
Okay.
you on the committee.
Right.
No.
No. It's
All right. So we have
3 years
I'll
till
vote
another
for
election.
commissioner.
Counselor Lunt and Counselor Kane for the school. We have Counselor Fellows for the Planning Board, Counselor Lunt for the Development Committee, Counselor Moore for the Conservation Committee, Counselor Larochelle for the Recreation Committee, Counselor Moore for the County Budget Committee, Counselor Keller for the Library Governing Board, Counselor Fellows for the Water Commission, and Counselor Robichaud for the Finance Committee. That's everybody.
Write that down quick.
Right.
Very good.
What?
Write it down quick.
I did. Ready, so nobody can change their minds. All right.
Next item.
Next item is the town manager's report.
Just a quick one this month. I'm kicking off labor negotiations with the Teamsters on Monday, and I'll be doing some interviews for assistant town manager tomorrow afternoon. But that's it for this month's report. Next month will be a lot coming from our office.
Teamsters for Public Works?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item?
Next item is the review of Town Council Working Rules, Article 4, Division 1, Section 74-201. So usually we... Go ahead.
Chair,
Yes.
I took some time to look over the working rules again, and I think, in my opinion, they're up to date as they're going to be, and they reflect what we've done and what we continue to do as a council. So, in my opinion, they ought to be passed as they are.
Any further discussion on the working rules?
If there are no changes, we don't have to take a vote.
Okay.
Right.
Next item?
We have an appointment, Order 2022-259. We have Linda Barabee for the Finance Committee. I believe Mrs. Barabee is here. Pull that microphone down for. There you go. I have to do the same thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, my name is Linda Barabee, and I've been living in Lisbon for over 12 years. I've got children that are in the Lisbon School Elementary. I've been trying to be active and trying to help, and I'm now on the Development Committee, and I'm raising grandkids. So, and I'd really like to be on the Finance Committee and be a member and help wherever I can.
Okay. Anybody have any comments? No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
All right.
would make the motion to make that appointment.
A second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
Congratulations, you did it.
You're on it.
I won't let you people down.
Thank you.
Next, we have Councilor Communications.
Anybody on the council have anything? Fern?
A couple things, if I may.
Sure.
First of all, I know you actually thanked us, but thank you, Jason, for your time. It's sure it's been quite a different year for you, right? It's a lot of learning curves, but we appreciate the opportunity, and I know there's a lot of time given, so thank you. The second part is Len come up and actually spoke about the use of the Arumpo site, and I'm not sure if the town manager would prefer that to be a vote from the council or just a straw poll, or what's your
I think we can
preference?
just authorize it through staff because there's no real formal arrangement for the use of the space. But if you want to bless it, it's fine
Whatever
with me
works
too.
for you, I think
Yeah.
we're good. That's
Yeah, Len, you can just follow up with me. We can take care of it.
all right. Thank you. And again, good event coming up this weekend. So if anybody's down in Lisbon Falls and the road ribbon cutting doesn't seem like a big deal, but to a lot of people, it's like hopefully it's the sunshine coming up over the hill, right? So I'm anxious to see it. Thank you.
Great. That's going to be nice. It'd be nice to have it down there.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Dawn?
I just wanted to say, after tonight, I'll be on the screen for a while, meeting on however many meetings we have, regular ones and special ones, on Zoom, because I will be away for a period of time. I want to apologize ahead of time for requiring you to do roll call votes. But
We've gotten used to it tonight.
yeah. Harry gave us some practice before, I know. So anyway, yeah, it's a new thing for us as a council and for me personally. I guess we're going to see how it works.
We will see. Joe Jean?
Yes, I'd like to say that I'm just really grateful for the opportunity to serve on the council and really enjoy meeting all of you and seeing everybody tonight, and look forward to many more learning experiences, I will say. Thank you.
Are you familiar with the library board at all? Is that going to be something that you're going to be familiar with?
Anything else from the council? Next item?
Next item is audience participation and response for new items. At this time, those in the audience who wish to speak may approach the lectern to address items or issues that are not on the agenda. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record.
Hello, Councilmember Jason Smith, Lisbon Town resident.
The mic.
Lisbon Town resident. So I've heard a few things going on tonight about the Warumbo site, how Len's got to get permission from Glenn to be able to use it. It seems like there's slow progress being made at the Warumbo site, but I think with a good handful of people, I know a handful of businessmen, I know a handful of residents that really want to see good things happen with the site, and if the council would be at least consider putting some type of committee together, maybe to oversee this so we can get the ball rolling to have this be a destination spot rather than just a half parking lot, half grass kind of. We don't know what's going on right there right now. It could be a really great thing if we just put a little time into it. So that's all I got to say. I think we really got to focus on the gem we have and shine it up a little bit.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments.
Ross Cunningham, Economic Development. I didn't see this coming, but I want to thank Jo Jean Keller for her time with the Lisbon Development Committee since she's about to resign. We're going to miss you, but I want to thank you for the time you've been on that committee. You've done an awful lot of work, and we appreciate the support.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Anyone else?
John Court, 65 Lisbon Street, Lisbon. For full disclosure, I'm a member of Lisbon Emergency, United Ambulance, and I'm a taxpayer of the town of Lisbon. I'm not a resident. What I'm about to talk about is my own opinion. I don't represent any organization. What I'm about to talk about should not be considered anti-fire department. I fully support the Lisbon Fire Department and congratulate them on their 2 new fire trucks. New and current equipment is needed for ongoing recruitment, retention, and safety. The town of Lisbon purchased and is starting a transporting ambulance service. I am certain most people in town do not know that this has been approved. The confusion starts with a September 20th meeting. There was no notification in the council agenda that a transporting ambulance service would be started by the town of Lisbon. There was also no mention in the minutes. The ambulance is referred to as a rescue and is only mentioned once at the meeting with a cost of up to $250,000 during the town manager's report. This caused confusion amongst myself and others as the ambulance was referred to as a rescue, and there was a referendum question before Lisbon voters that would purchase 2 new fire trucks that would replace Rescue 10, which is a fire apparatus. So that the town of Lisbon taxpayers are fully educated, the town of Lisbon voted to replace 3 fire apparatus with 2 new fire apparatus at the November election. At the September 20th town council meeting, the council voted to spend federal American Rescue Plan funds to purchase and start a transporting ambulance. The council was told by Chief LeClaire that there were items sole sourced by Stryker Medical that would be increasing as of October 1st, 2022, which is absolutely correct. Among those items were a power stretcher and power load unit, which lifts the stretcher into the ambulance. These items can only be used by a transporting ambulance. The ambulance was purchased from the same dealer as the 2 fire trucks. I contacted 2 local ambulance dealers and neither were contacted to bid on this ambulance that the town purchased. I understand that the town is stating that the buying group you purchased from precludes and meets the multiple bid process. I am intimately familiar with buying groups, and as an independent distributor of construction equipment, I consistently beat buying groups on bids in my non-public safety field. To not give local dealers a chance to bid is unbelievable to me. The ambulance purchase was of a brand that has not been sold for many, many years in Maine. The dealer also does not offer loaner ambulances if yours breaks down, where many other local dealers do offer loaners. The ambulance purchase is on a Chevy 3500 HD chassis with a 153-inch patient compartment. No other fire EMS service that I know of currently is ordering ambulances with this specification. You will have an incredibly hard time keeping underweight as the spec you have purchased is not designed for what you intend to use it for. You have purchased a Class 3 chassis. Everyone is purchasing a Class 4 chassis, which gives you another 3,000 pounds of net carrying capacity. You have basically purchased a transfer truck spec for fire EMS duty. I highly doubt you'll be able to dual role this vehicle for fire EMS duty. I watch many council meetings, and before a vehicle is purchased, it is always discussed if the vehicle will meet current and future needs and functionality. You perform much more detail and specific diligence on the used public works truck, UTV, and undercover police vehicle than a vehicle that is going to be used for emergency medical services. The ambulance was purchased for $249,760,000. Other medical and ambulance equipment from Stryker for $142,000, along with future startup equipment at $23,000 for a little over $423,000. The Stryker equipment was stated as having to be sole sourced from Stryker. The Stryker power load and power stretcher did not have to be sole sourced from Stryker and could have been purchased from and quoted from independent dealers.
Mr. Courts?
Yes.
There is a time limit on these comments. I can grant you an additional 2 minutes if you would like that, if you could wrap up.
Yeah, I can post this online and come back another time as well, but 2 minutes, I've got another page.
Okay. Well,
Mr. Chairman, if I may suggest, if Mr. Courts would like to send his information to the council, if he wants to send it to me, I can make sure the entire council and the town manager receive
I
it.
really think the people of the town should hear this.
Yeah, I don't mind
Okay.
letting him speak, but there's a time limit, and I can authorize small chunks of time if you can wrap it up. I mean, you know.
Yep, no, I'll continue until you stop me.
Okay.
Yep. Further, usually the power load and stretcher are purchased from the ambulance dealer. Any items purchased over $250,000 must go before the voters of Lisbon. While purchasing ambulance for $240 less than the mandated voter amount from one vendor and another equipment from another vendor, to skirt the voters is legal. It is not the idea and the mandate, and it is an underhanded way to squeeze items on the fast track. Are we going to start purchasing front-end loaders without the bucket or the next fire truck without pumps and tires? What other vehicles are we going to purchase that do not meet the actual needs so we can slip it under the $250,000 voter mandate? Well, the $423,000 in equipment was purchased with federal money is just the start of the tip of the money needed to start a transporting ambulance service, assuming that all the equipment comes from federal money, which it won't. You have a lot of consumable supplies that need to be purchased that have expiration dates. You will have a medical director that will cost you $5,000 per year, billing services, accounting that will take up to 20 hours per week. You will need to make certain all of your software meets Center for Medicare requirements, and there will be extensive Medicare audits, DEA license and drug contracts, capital replacement costs of over $600,000 of equipment over 10 years. The cardiac monitor you are purchasing for $35,000 will most likely be obsolete in the next 5 years. There was no planning, no operational or financial study made for the purchase of this transporting ambulance. When I asked the town if there were any studies, the response was no, delivery is 2 to 3 years away, so this has not been completed yet. The town has not submitted any plan to the Maine EMS Feasibility Committee for approval as a transporting ambulance service, which is required of any new transporting ambulance service in Maine.
Mr. Courts, I'll give you another 2 minutes.
I know of no situation where it is allowed to use someone else's money to start a new program or department with no plan on how to run it. A councilor asked at the September 20th meeting what the future budget implications would be of items purchased under ARPA, and absolutely nothing was stated about the cost of running a transporting ambulance service, which will cost the taxpayers of Lisbon hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and most likely lead to decreased operational readiness for fire and EMS emergencies for second and third calls of a severe nature. Before learning of the ambulance and EMS equipment purchase, I had emailed the town if the town intended to increase the fire services license from basic to advanced or paramedic. The response I received on September 28th was the question, quote, the question on advanced or paramedic level care that is currently, the question on advanced or paramedic level care is that currently it is not at this level, it will not be in the immediate future. However, the possibility of increasing the license level up has always been a consideration since the onset of the first responder program. End quote. The town of Lisbon purchased inline filter and nasal end-tidal CO2 monitoring devices with their cardiac monitor from Stryker on the September 20th vote. These devices can only be used starting at the advanced EMT level. Remember, these items were purchased September 20th, and my email on response that they were staying at the basic level was September 28th. Again, no mention of starting a transporting ambulance service has ever mentioned in any agenda minutes or discussed at the council meeting. This money could have gone to lowering taxpayer costs or providing better patient care through new and existing initiatives. For the sake of the taxpayers of Lisbon, I would highly recommend ethics review on this process.
Mr. Quartz, your time is expired, and I would ask that you send the rest of your narrative to the councilors or the town manager via email. Thank you. Anybody else in the audience? Seeing none? Next.
Next item is executive session. We have none this evening. So the next item is Order 2022-260 to adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
I'll second that.
I already did mine.
Oh, you did, okay. Beat me to it.
All in favor?
Order passed, 7-0.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. You wanted me to have that movie.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Would you go?